Christian Village Church. We're going to work with you today on a story out of the book called The Song of Solomon. And we're getting to the point of the magic garden. This is a love story. And a love story that is real. It's not in the Bible to be a Valentine's Day message. It's a real love story. It describes the coming together of the male and the female in an exotic, rapturous intercourse in which there is everything that goes forth before, the perspiration, the throbbing, the groaning, and the moaning, and all of this stuff, and then the cataclysmic coming together of the two, the ejaculation of the male to the female, and then the pouring forth of life grown out of the abundance of seed, which is indeed the reality of what life is about. And we come to grips with the fact in the Song of Solomon that God indeed is real. God is not artificial. You can't have it by going to church and making believe that you're going to read about it in a prayer book, because you're not. You have to understand it by coming together with the reality of life. I want to show you the basis. It's not just in the Song of Solomon where the basis of this is. If you would look on page 471 in your little Bibles and look at Psalm chapter 19. Okay. And what I think that you'll learn today is that God, the Bible, and the experience of Jesus Christ are for mature people. You cannot want to have this thing by signing cards and singing songs. You have to actually want to have this magnificent encounter with the Christ if you're playing for keeps. And I'll show you an instance here in which the word bridegroom starts to enter into the language of spirit. In Psalm 19, it says in verse 4, their line has gone out through the words, to the end of the world. In them has he set a tabernacle for the sun. That's a dwelling place of the sun, which is as a bridegroom coming out of his chamber. Okay? The reason that the bridegroom is attributed to the sun is that the earth must yield herself to the sun. The earth must expose herself to the sun. The earth must be penetrated to the sun. Actually, the sun must intercourse with the earth, and when the sun intercourses with the earth, then the earth gives birth. And that is about to happen. We're not too far from that great wedding day, which annually happens in the March or so forth, when we have that spring equinox, as Aries is consumed by the fire of the sun, which is the burnt offering. And then the sun penetrates deep into the earth, and the earth gives birth. And there are new flowers, and the little animals give birth to their puppies and all of that kind of business, and bunnies and so forth and so on. But yeah, well, that's one way of putting it, Easter, I guess. If you look on page 784, Jesus Christ makes a statement which is quite interesting. Okay, Jesus Christ makes a statement on page 784, which is in the 9th chapter of Matthew. Matthew chapter 9, okay, verse, if you would look at it, 15. Matthew chapter 9, verse 15. And Jesus said to them, can the children of the bride chamber mourn as long as the bridegroom is with them? Here is Jesus now identifying himself as the bridegroom. Of course, you, me, become the bride as such. Can the children of the bride chamber mourn as long as the bridegroom is with them? But the days will come when the bridegroom shall be taken away, and they shall fast. That's winter time. When you look at that particular aspect in the context of the earth, that's winter time. When you look at the bridegroom and the bride coming together, that's the spring, and then the birth and so forth becomes summertime. Now, I wanted to show you this in the New Testament under the teachings of the Apostle Paul, and how he puts it, and he puts it on page 948. 948, 2 Corinthians chapter 11. 2 Corinthians chapter 11. And this is the interesting part. I want you to look at this very carefully so you begin to see the relevancy of what we're going to talk about today, and that is intercourse between the female and the male, used allegorically to describe what must happen between the spirit and the mind. 2 Corinthians chapter 11 and verse 2. Paul says, I am jealous over you with a godly jealousy, for I have espoused you to one husband, that I may present you as a chaste virgin to Christ. See that? Once again, allegorically, the husband and the wife, the virgin aspect of the womb is suggested by Paul. I have espoused you to one husband, that's Christ, as a chaste virgin, which means that in order for you to give birth to that which is the Christ within, there must be a virgin consciousness. It doesn't make any difference whether you agree with it. It doesn't make any difference whether you disagree with it. Jesus Christ said, take no thought, because by taking no thought, you allow your consciousness to be virgin. Where there is no thought, the consciousness is virgin, because it is not soiled by the thoughts of your mind. And where there is no thought and there is virgin consciousness, the Christ can be born. The Christ cannot be born within, in any mind, in any consciousness, in any psyche, or any personality whatsoever, where there is thought. It can't happen, because thoughts are of you, no thought is of God. That's why virgin consciousness is extremely important, and that's why this can't happen. So you must be espoused to Christ, which is consciousness within you, as a chaste virgin. You must be free from all thought. That requires some discipline on your part to abstain from intercoursing with that which is of the lower, and reserve yourself for the husband of the bridegroom who dwells in the higher. That means meditation. That means the things that Bill Moyers was talking about, the things that Barbara Walters and you Downs have been talking about, the things which are flowing all over television. Oh, there are healings by people who are meditating. Oh, things are happening in families where there's meditation. People are living longer because of meditation. Something strange is happening in meditation. It is because people are being impregnated by the divine seed, and they are receiving the consciousness enlightenment, and their body is being turned to overcome and heal those things which cannot be healed by anything else, and which actually can only be destroyed by the negative thoughts of the mind. And that's what this is all about. Now, when that ejaculation, if you would, when that orgasm, when that thing happens where the penetration takes place and the Christ mind enters within you, penetrates in your spirit, and lets fly, if you would, with that great gushing power of Almighty God. The Apostle Paul talks about it in page 990, and we'll just go from there, and then we'll get into this. Page 990, the Apostle Paul says, in 1 Peter chapter 1, verse 23, okay? Being born again, okay? Being reborn, but what of? Not of corruptible seed, but of incorruptible seed by the word which lives and abides forever. See? So that's what we're talking about then. We're talking about a reality here. We're not talking about church anymore. We're not talking about religion anymore. We're not talking about born-again Christians versus fundamentalists versus Buddhists. The heck with all of that stuff. We're talking about that which is the real touch between you and that which is the Christ within you. Okay? So let's go to page 700 and... What page are we on here? 751? The Song of Solomon. What is it? 573. Well, that's, 573. Go to Song of Solomon 573, chapter 4. Okay? Chapter 4.
Oh, that's Psalm. Oh, 573.
Yeah. Chapter 4 and verse 11. And here we go. Now, here's the meeting between the two. Here's the conversation. Here's the conversation between your spirit and that which is the Christ mind, that which is entering to touch you and to take you. And it says in verse 4, chapter 4, verse 11, Thy lips, O my spouse, drop as the honeycomb. Honey and milk are under thy tongue, and the smell of thy garments is like the smell of Lebanon. I kind of believe that the word there should be drip and not drop. I believe that they're talking is the honey drips from the honeycomb, meaning the love and wisdom drips from the lips of the bridegroom Christ. You see what honey in mysticism means? Love and wisdom. And here now, you are about to touch that. You're about to touch that incorruptible, undefilable love, which is Christ. You're about to touch that which is wisdom and understanding, the oracles of the ancient teachings. You're about to understand these things. And it says, honey drips, okay? Honey drips from your tongue. Honey and milk are under your tongue. Thy lips are as the honeycomb, and the lips are the place where the word is poured forth, and out of there comes love and wisdom and understanding, and touches you. See, it's a spiritual food. Honey is. There's a place in Hinduism called the Sadabra, and it says, "Honey by night and morning, rich in honey may be the region of the earth. Honey, the Father heaven." So here they call in Hinduism honey, actually aspect of that means the Father, God. Heaven. Okay? So understanding that then, as you begin to go into your meditation and you begin to go into an ecstasy of touching that deep within you, you actually touching that which is God himself. Touching that which is God himself. Look at page 48 in the Bible. Look at the book of Exodus. Exodus chapter 3. Okay? And look at verse 8. And it says, "And I am come down to deliver them out of the hands of the Egyptians," which symbolizes the lower mind, "and to bring them out of that land into a good land and unto a land flowing with milk and honey." There is a relationship there, the land flowing with milk and honey, to the pineal gland of the brain and the pituitary gland of the brain. And actually, when that oil flows out from the pituitary gland of the brain, it becomes a milky substance. And it's actually what's the word I'm looking for? Oh, well, the chrism, but I mean, I'm looking for another word and I'm drawing a blank. It comes out of the pineal gland of the brain, it becomes like a yellowish substance. Yeah. And this is actually that which is flowing from the land of the milk and honey. See, in other words, everything has got to relate itself to something inside of you. It's got to be real or it's not going to work. So we're talking about the activation of the brain, the activation of the pineal, the pituitary gland of the brain, and that's the land flowing with milk and honey. In Proverbs 24, verse 13, it says, "My son, which is the mind, eat honey, which is wisdom and love." So wisdom and love here drip from the lips of the spouse as we embrace in meditation. It drips upon us. As we embrace in meditation and as we take the mouth of that which is the Christ, in other words, as that which speaks from the ancient oracle starts to touch us, we begin then to feel this love. We begin to understand things. You begin to understand things you've never understood before. Don't you see what's happening on television? They're teaching people. Bill Moyers is showing people. All of these programs are showing people things which have been known for ages, but to which this culture is ignorant. This culture never understood that meditation could heal people. In fact, this culture told you to stay away from it. There was something wrong with it, something evil with it, because of the desperate aspects of religion to control your lives. Not because once it goes right back to the beginning. Once you find out that the aspect of God is within you, what do you need them for? And then they lose control of you. And that's what religion is interested in, only one thing, not bringing people to God, bringing people to themselves and controlling people. And here you come into the age when the control is about to be broken, when people are about to move into that realm of touching him, the bridegroom themselves, and having a spiritual marriage, a spiritual intercourse themselves. See, where it says honey and milk are under thy tongue. Listen, feel the intimacy of that. Think about it yourself. Think about it in your own life. Honey and milk are under thy tongue. How does she know? See, think about how sensitive this, how deep we're moving into this embrace. How deep is this kiss? How deep and involved is this rapture? How close are you to get to this bridegroom? Christ. And for those of you who men and can't deal with that type of a thought, think of it in your spirit, God, as woman, the spiritual part of us. Think whatever is comfortable for you, but think of the implications of the closeness of this, of touching under the tongue of he or she who is the divine spouse. Milk is a symbol of goodness. Milk is a symbol of life, and that's why, did you ever hear the expression, holy cow? Okay. Let me tell you why the expression holy cow. Because the cow takes into itself that which is of the earth, that which is dirty, that which is unclean, the grass. But what flows out? It gives back that which is divine, that which is pure, that which is white, that which is milk. So there's a metamorphosis there. There's a transformation of that from the earth to that which is heaven, from the grass of the earth to the milk of heaven. And so the cow is called holy, and to this day in Hinduism it is holy, and the expression holy cow. You can hear it if you turn on the Yankee baseball games. Every time somebody gets a hit, Phil's going to say, holy cow! You know, and that's where it comes from. Okay. Now the tongue, where it says the honey and milk are under thy tongue, the tongue is the expression of truth. If in the higher realms and the lower realms, it's the expression of lying. But in this particular case, it's the expression of truth. It says in the Shakyamuni Buddha that he and Prabhatara, who was his companion, were seated on the throne and smiled at one another, and their tongues protruded from their mouth. In other words, the truth was bursting forth from within them. What you're hearing here, if you will allow this, do you see how personal this is? It doesn't require you to go to church. It doesn't require you to read a Bible. It doesn't require you to do anything which the culture says is holy. It requires you to come up into the upper room, into the chamber, and have an affair, if you would, with the bridegroom, with your husband, who is the Christ, and allow yourself to intimately intercourse with that which is holy. And there you will find, as you get closer and become one in body with He who is the Christ, she who is the Spirit, when you become one in body with that, you will find that wisdom and love and understanding that you never were able to find before. All very personal. But how deep and how much discipline are you prepared to give yourself to do this? Now look at back to page 575, the Song of Solomon's. Okay? Chapter 5, where were we? Song of Solomon's, chapter 4, verse 11. Okay. And the smell of thy garments is like the smell of Lebanon. You know what Lebanon means? Now this is pretty interesting as you find out what this is all about. The word Lebanon, okay, means white. White, pure, virgin, consciousness. And the garments are now, that's the covering that you're wearing. Okay? As we're covered with the meditative rapture, this aroma rises upwards. See? And this is pleasing. This is pleasing because the garments make up the person. The garment is simply a symbol of what is your life like now. What type of covering? What are you living into? What are you acting into? You've been covering yourself with religion all of your life. You've covered yourself with your parents' directions and with the school's directions and with the government's directions. And you've been following people, setting example for you who've been blowing each other up for as long as you've been alive. These are your role models. They blow each other to pieces. They've got bombs to blow each other up. They've got all kinds of stuff to blow. And they've got armies that can shoot and kill each other. And you stand and say, these are my role models. These are the people that I've been following. And many of you have grown up in families in which the role models that you were supposed to follow were anything but. So what do? Who do you follow? And then you go into churches. And you've seen the history of the church. You've seen the history. Look at them on television, the ones that have thrown the diamond rings and all the money and the sex and the booze and all of these things. They're the role models you're supposed to follow, instead of realizing the only role model you follow is the Holy One who lives within you, who wants to take you into the divine bed of that where I lay myself down and enter into that which is the cosmic rapture of God. It's a personal, very personal. Doesn't make any difference if anybody believes you. You don't have anything to prove to anybody. You have to prove to one person, He who dwells in the chamber in the upper room of your heart. That's all. He wants you to prove yourself to Him. And that's all that's necessary. Because all the rest is just talk. So we talk about this garment, okay? This garment of being that smell, that aroma which is white, which is pure. And the garment, in Isaiah, in page 619, the book of Isaiah, it says on Isaiah chapter 6 and verse 13, it says in Isaiah chapter 6, verse 13, therefore my people are gone. I'm sorry, I'm all screwed up here. Isaiah chapter 61. I'm really getting into this, and that's why I'm not paying attention to these things. Isaiah chapter 61. He said, I really don't think that I want to read. And I'm not even to the point where I feel like I want to read a story. I want to read a book. I want to be part of this with you. I want to so much express to you the reality, the truth of this, the understanding that this doesn't require your intellect to understand things. It doesn't require you to become a pastor or to become an oracle of any kind. It just requires you to enter within and become one in that union within yourself. And so, anyhow, for the Bible part, it says in Isaiah 61, verse 3, to appoint unto them that mourn in Zion, to give unto them beauty for ashes, the oil of joy for mourning, the garment of praise for the spirit of heaviness. And there's that garment, see? The smell of thy garment, the garment of praise for the spirit of heaviness. And heaviness just surrounds everyone. Heaviness is the lower nature, which becomes heavy in the negativity of all of the things that have been filtered in. Could you take all of the things of your life that have been positive, and put them on the scale here, and then balance them with all of the things that have been negative, all of the thoughts, and you'll find that the scale will crash down on that side because you're pumped constantly into negativity. It doesn't make any difference what good has happened today. There'll be somebody that'll say, yeah, but you never know, tomorrow or next week or whatever, this could happen. I mean, you could lose the whole thing, and I don't know, and and this is the way it is. Because that's all we know. Because we're competitors. We compete. Okay? We compete. Constantly we're in competition. We teach everybody how to compete. We teach the little kids how to compete. You know what that means? I'm not teaching them how to compete. I'm teaching them how to win. Do you know the bad part of it? Sometimes you lose. Instead, we then, after we teach them how to compete, we prepare them to conflict, because it all goes in the same thing. Competition is not far from conflict, and conflict is not far from competition. So here we go to the magic garden. Page 575, Song of Solomon, chapter 4, verse 12. A garden is enclosed. A garden enclosed is my sister, my spouse. Isn't that interesting? My sister, my spouse. That comes from the ancient myth of Rhea, R-H-E-A, and Kronos, which is the sister spouse, okay? The sister, your sister, now listen to me very carefully, and get away from the sexual connotations. The sex is only used as an allegorical reference here. We're talking about spiritual things. Your sister is your spirit. Your sister is your human spirit. But that sister, which must then be lifted upward into the divine realm to the bridegroom, that sister is the same part of your human spirit that must become your wife. The intercourse of the divine mind must be with your sister. And so in all aspects of mythology, the sister is also the spouse. See, look at Mary. Okay? Mary gives birth to God in the aspect of the story. Okay? But she is also made pregnant by God. So that which is her husband is also her son. Do you see? And this basically is the same thing that must happen when you understand that the female aspect and the male aspect, the mind and the spirit, are also brother and sister. So my sister, who is my spirit, must be penetrated by me in the realm of giving birth to the Christ. So it says here, and a garden is enclosed is my sister, my spouse, a spring shut up, and a fountain sealed. Okay? Watch, here we're getting to the point. You're getting to the, as they say, climax of the story. It's exactly what it is. It's exactly, what is it? What did it just say? Huh? A spring shut up, a fountain sealed. Why? Because you have not allowed the intercourse to take place. You have not allowed the husband to penetrate you, for therefore could pour forth into you the seed which would give you the birth of the new life of the Christ. So the spring, the fountain, has been shut up. Okay. Now, I want you to understand, as we look at this, this is a very secret place. This is something that is nobody's business. It's not my business. It's not the business of any church. It's not the business of any religion. It's not the business of the one who is closest to you. This is the time. Because, let's say, I've never heard of people, dying, going, hand in hand. You go by yourself. And you go to the spouse. You go to the husband. You go to the divine one. So you must have time to leave parents, husband, wife, and enter into this intercourse and have this holy communion of life between you and he who is within you. Wow, what an exciting thing that. What real thing this is. Huh? There's no money involved here. There's no lectures, there's no singing, there's no church, there's no religion. This is real. This is every bit of real of the aspects of the male and female part. Hey, you know what this is? What is this? This is the male and the female. Without the male and the female, there can be no light. Did you know that? You can't have just the male side and have light. You have to have the male and the female. They've got to be one, and then there can be light. Power. This is your life. Whatever it may be in your house, whatever it might have been in your life, okay? You've got to now bring yourself to the point of the Song of Solomon, to the magic garden, and you've got to embrace the Holy One within. You've got to become enraptured. You've got to reach that climax spiritually and allow that ejaculation of the seed of life to penetrate you and give birth to the child who is the Christ. So the playing is over. The religion is over. The games are over. Now you get to the point of, this is real, and this is what I will do. I will turn from the strange woman who lives in the lower lobby, and I will go to the higher chambers, and there I will meet with my bridegroom, my spouse. A fountain sealed, it says. You see, this holy garden is in one place. When you look astronomically, if whatever the heck it is, when you look north, east is always on the right-hand side. Okay? That's why every time you hear about sitting at the right hand of the Father goes arm in arm with the right hemisphere of the brain, which, of course, people call Eastern religion. Yes, it is, because it's all attributed to the right side. In this particular place, we're looking for this garden. This is the secret place. This is the magic garden. Would you go with me to page 2 in the Bible, Genesis chapter 1. Page 2. Genesis chapter 1 and verse 8. Forget that. Genesis chapter 2, verse 8, okay? Okay, Genesis chapter 2, verse. And the Lord God planted a garden. You see that? Eastward in Eden. It's very important. It's very important that it's eastward because the garden is at the right side. The garden is the right hemisphere of your brain. The 90% that you have not entered, the 90% that you have done without, that you've done your life with the left side with the 10%. Now you give up that 10%, you tithe that 10%, which takes you into the right side, which is the 90%, into the magic garden. Do you see the difference? Do you see what you have to do? You have to tithe in order for you to enter into the magic garden. You've got to tithe the 10% of the left side. You've got to give up the thoughts of the side of the mind, which is the left, which will take you then into that holy garden, which is the right side, eastward, the garden, okay? Now, what will you find when you get to the place? What is this secret place, this secret place that sits deep within the realms of meditative darkness, this place that they were talking about, that Moyers was talking about, this place that 2020 was talking about, this place that the New York Times is constantly talking about, this place that all of the people on television are finding, that doctors and hospitals are setting up meditation rooms in hospitals all over the country. Why are they setting up meditation rooms all over the country? What is in there? What is it that when you enter into this holy, deep, recessed magic garden where it is dark, what is it that you find? Watch, I'll show you. Go with me to page 617. It's page 617 and Isaiah chapter 58. Okay? Isaiah chapter 58 and verse 11. No, I got ahead of myself. Go to page 609. Isaiah 45. You know, when you get into this, it is so real. What I'm telling these people is so real and so true and so direct from the mouth of Christ that this stuff becomes irrelevant. It can't. What page it's on is who the hell cares what page it's on? Isaiah chapter 45. Okay. But this is what comes. This is what comes. Isaiah chapter 45, verse 3. And I will give thee the treasures of darkness and the hidden riches of secret places, that you may know that I, the Lord, which call you by your name, the God of Israel, which is Isis, Ra-E-L, the God of spirit and mind within you. That I will give you the treasures and the riches of the secret places, that you may know. Not that you think about it, not that you have faith, but that you know. And so you come into this place where, and I got to rush, and I forward verse 12, and a garden enclosed is my sister, my spouse, a spring shut up. So we got to get to that spring unshut up, don't we? We got to get to that fountain unsealed. See, because it must gush forth in the orgasmic rapture of meditation. That's what this is all about. There must be that penetration by the divine seed so that you are of incorruptible seed, and the Christ child then is born within you and raised up to lead and to give healing to all who come into your experience. A fountain sealed. See, the water is sealed. It's hidden. It's contained within the right side. This is the divine sperm, if you would. And it's sealed, it's hidden. Do you remember the part in the Old Testament where the water was in the rock? And God said to Moses, touch the rock. The water will come out. And what did Moses do? He touched it twice. You know what he did? He added his own technique. Huh? Oh, you can't do it this way. You gotta, I'll show you how to meditate. You do it this way, you do it that way, you do it the other way. Oh, you gotta have earphones, you gotta have that, you gotta have this, you gotta have all of these things. You gotta add it. And you know what? Because he hit that rock twice, Moses never saw the promised land. In other words, when you put your own techniques into this thing, it won't work. You weren't asked to touch the rock twice, you were just asked to touch the rock.
You wandered in the desert.
That's right. And you know what happened? Out of that rock, out of that impenetrable place came water. You can't get into the right hemisphere of the brain. There's no way. You can't do it. You got to go to what? Beta, alpha, theta, delta, or what is it? Theta, alpha, beta, whatever the heck it is. You got to go through the... You can't do that. Inside of you will come and will open like a flower. If you will commit yourself to it, it will take you into that holy place. And you will go into the rock, and this gushing will take... And this is the part I want you to get. Isaiah, Song of Solomon, chapter 4, verse 10. Your plants are an orchard of pomegranates. You know what pomegranates? You know what a pomegranate is? Now just think, come in here with me. Do you see what I'm saying to you? What happens when the male intercourses with the female and the orgasm takes place and the ejaculation takes place? The sperm flushes in or rushes into the female, and there are literally millions of sperm, and one sperm makes it, and there's new life. You know what a pomegranate is?
Chinese apple.
Many, many seeds. Many, many seeds. Do you notice that? In the pomegranate are many, many seeds. And that's why the pomegranate is used. Your fruit, that which comes out of you, that which is produced is like a pomegranate. There are many, many seeds, and the many, many seeds of God will penetrate deep within you, and one will find that place, and that will be the Christ, that will be the child born of the Virgin within you. Huh? And it says it's with pleasant fruits, camphor. And you know what camphor is? It's a crystal. It's a crystal. Camphor is a crystal. Do you know that in your brain are 7 million crystal magnets? So you see what's being said? Do you see how true what's being said to you today is? And it says in verse 14, spikenard and saffron, calamus and cinnamon, and all of these spices which give these are pleasant. In other words, these are the pleasantries. This is the rich shaking which comes within you from the base of the spine up to the pineal gland of the brain when you have had this would you say, this orgasm, when this climax comes. But you see how beautiful it has become? Do you see how real it has become? Do you see how true it has become? This is God's love letter to you, that I've got to have this intercourse with you. I'm not talking about praying. I'm not talking about religion. I'm not talking about listening to guys give lectures. I'm talking to you and me together alone in that chamber, and you will expose yourself, and in that holiness beyond the thoughts of the lower mind where there is just that virgin consciousness, I will penetrate you, and I will place into you the seed, millions of seed, and that one seed will come and touch you and find that treasured virgin womb, and there my son will be born. Oh, how beautiful. It says in verse 15, a fountain of gardens, a well of living waters. Visualize colorful gardens and beautiful fountains. A well of living waters. And what's being talked about is the ejaculation, the end of the climax of this burst forth like a fountain from God into you. Don't think it's so strange, my friend. It was Isis who, searching for the parts of her husband who had been cut up in a million pieces, found every part but the one part she was looking for. And so she couldn't find the sexual organ. So what she did, she had a cast made of it, of bronze. And she had one made for all of the temples in Egypt, and she sent it around. And she says, I want this placed in a prominent place in the holy temple. And it was. And it still is. And it's the steeple of the church. The altar is the head. The center where the congregation sits is called the nave, N-A-V-E. It's the navel. And the steeple. Osiris never let her down. Oh, but so what? It's true. Nobody can tell you that, but it's true. So when you drive by the church, you say, oh.
You'll never think of it the same way.
And isn't it amazing when you tell people the doggone truth, they get ticked off, freaked out. It's exactly where it happened. Isis took this sexual organ, had a bronze cast made of it, sent one to all the churches. I want this placed in the most prominent place of the temple, and that's where the steeple comes from. And if you look up the word nave, which is navel, you'll find out it's the center of the church where the people congregate. There you go. And if you drive by, you can see Osiris is always ready for babies.
That Cyrus wasn't circumcised.
That's right. Here's verse 16, and we'll wrap this up. Awake, O north wind, and come thou south. You know what it's saying? It's saying that you've got to awake both physically and mentally. Physically, the south, mentally, the north, and the winds are the spiritual energies. And it says in verse 16 that the spices may flow out. Bring your physical and mental into the garden of meditation so the beauty of God may flow. And it says in verse 16, let my beloved come into his garden and eat his pleasant fruit. So come in the Garden of Eden, which is the right side. Take into yourself the fruit of life and allow the bridegroom who said he was the bridegroom, Christ, be true to him for the first time in your life. Stop intercoursing with the one who lives downstairs and be true to the bridegroom who lives in the upper room. And you together will have a child that will lead you till eternity. And the government will be upon his shoulders, and his name will be called Wonderful Counselor, the Prince of Peace, the Everlasting God. Thank you very much for spending time in the Magic Garden. And Joan will come on.